Oh, hey, folks, elder law care attorney Patrick Kelleher coming to you from elderlawcare.com. Folks, what in the world is a gun trust? Yeah, you heard it. There's a thing called a gun trust, folks. And that was a brilliant question from one of our YouTube subscribers. Hey, Patrick, I own legally an arsenal of firearms, and I'm a gun collector, and I keep them safe in a safe. I have a license to carry, but my spouse does not. Patrick, I'm really concerned because I want these weapons going to certain people in my family. Should I leave it in my trust, my regular standard revocable trust, or my will? Or will that create problems for my loved ones? Love the question, folks. And here's the answer. Yes, do not leave it in your will. Do not leave it in your standard revocable trust either, folks. You need to leave it in the gun trust, folks. It's a specialized trust for folks that own firearms, right? Because the laws are strict, the federal laws, and then you have to look at the state laws. So numero uno, if you leave your firearms to your loved ones in a will or a standard revocable trust, that's going to be problematic, because if your trustee does not also have a license to carry, then legally they cannot manage and hold and transfer or sell these weapons. They're going to have to apply for the license to carry. And folks, they may not have any desire to apply for a license to carry, especially after they lose their loved one. Most folks have to take a course. They have to take some type of written test during that course, and then they have to go to a range and they have to take a firearms test, shooting the firearms at a range. Another major step, you have to submit the paperwork to the local police chief, and depending on the town or the jurisdiction you're in, some are more stringent than others. And after substantial and significant background checks and submission of recommendations on your part, you have to wait to see if you'll be approved for your license to carry a firearm. So folks, from my experience, the safest, most protective way, if you have more than one firearm, is for you to put it into a gun trust. And you ought to work with a trust attorney that is familiar with the rules of engagement with a gun trust. And you would only put your guns in there, folks. We do that for our clients with a legal assignment of legal interest of the firearms into your gun trust, or think of your gun treasure chest, right? Your cash assets in your home will go into a conventional estate planning trust, but your firearms would go into a specialized, unique gun trust. And preferably, when I'm counseling a client in a design meeting, I would advise, hey, Bill, you have these firearms, right? And you have your license to carry. Who in your life, Bill, would you want to manage them as your trustee if you became completely incapacitated? Well, I would advise my client, Bill, you pick a trustee in your family, preferably, who also has a license to carry already. Easy situation if he has a spouse, but from my experience, most spouses do not have joint license to carry. Some do, but most do not. But if Bill has a son or a daughter, we'll say his son's a police officer, very comfortable with weapons, and also has a legal license to carry, I would advise, let's have your son, Mo, serve as a trustee of your gun trust, right? And then let's talk about the beneficiaries. Who's going to be the beneficiaries? Well, Larry kind of likes weapons, but he doesn't have his license to carry. Curly has no desire, so Curly's not going to be interested in the firearms. So the firearms in the gun trust are going to go to Mo and maybe Larry. Mo's in charge. He's the trustee. He's the fiduciary, but he also has his license to carry. And then the gun trust is going to give Mo all the instructions, terms and conditions on how to protect those weapons, how to preserve them, and then how to pass them on without any problems, without breaking any federal or state gun laws. You do not want to put your loved ones at risk, right? And that can be done if it's not a gun trust, from my experience, folks. And then your state elder law attorney needs to work with Bill to legally transfer the firearms into the gun trust. Typically, we would do that with a legal assignment of the weapons to the gun trust, specifically to the trustee Mo of Bill's gun trust. There you have it, folks, right there. If you'd like to learn more about this, contact our Elder Law Care Center or work with your estate trust attorney that is familiar with drafting and preparing a qualified, compliant gun trust. There you have it, folks. Thanks for joining us here today, elderlawcare.com. Be sure to click that subscribe button, and we'll see you in the next one.